Pirro. I'm the sister to Bianca Pirro, who was a kindergarten teacher in the Brentwood School District. And I wanted to tell you about the origin of our name. Okay. Our parents come from Italy at a time when it was unified in 1870. Both of our parents were born in 1872. So they were raised at a time when nationalism was very close to them. And the King Umberto, had several children, and our folks were wed in 1892. As the children were born, they were named after the royalty. What happened was when they came to my name, they had people like Mafalda, Vincenza, Fernando, but when they came to naming me, I was named after the entire nation, Italia. Now, Italia means Italy, and it's much the same as Erin is to Ireland when you hear the girls' names. I've met only about 3 co-teachers named Italia. Not too many named America. 3 people. That's it. Now then.
Okay. Did you have nicknames growing up?
Nicknames? Yes. For my nickname, first as a young girl, I was called Tootsie because at the time Tootsie Rolls was a favorite candy bar. Then what happened? Not candy bar, they were small ones. Now they're rocks. But came World War II. We lived in Sheepshead Bay for part of our lives, and there was the Maritime Base and the Coast Guard Station. And a lot of the young fellas, the sailors, used to come through the village in Sheepshead. And of course, then they used to say, hi toots, or they were saying toots and jerking me from Tootsie. I was called Toots as I grew into teenage, from Toots and Casper. When the war came along, I would turn around for Toots and I'd be a fool. So I said, I don't like that name anymore. I want a nice, easy name. Rather than Italia in school, I always got called Italia, never Italia, which is so easy to say. When you say Natalia from the Russian name there, it's so easy to go from Natalia to Italia, but everybody goes back. How do you spell your name? Italia, and I get called, Italia. I said, no, Italia. But lately, as a senior, I've been using Italia because a good many of the seniors are foreign born, and they give me my right name, and it's such a pleasure to hear it. That's how we got the name of Italia.
And you came from a big family, as your sister was telling us. There were how many of you?
We were 13. It's true. And I'm the last one. Yes. And it was said that it was true. I was spoiled a great deal. It was true. I got a lot of favors. But I didn't get away with too many things. But we learned in one of our college courses, like the middle child is always the one who's not getting too much of the attention. The oldest child is the one usually everything falls on for the support of the family. And the youngest is the spoiled one. But I find that in the later years, forget it. The ones who are called on, not the middle and the old, but the youngest who can run and always has the time, supposedly has the time to look after the group. And I find that's what happened to me. But you don't feel that it's a burden or anything. You just accept it. It's part of living. And it's great to have a feel. And I always said, coming from a big family, if you don't get along with your own family, you're never going to get along with anybody else outside. Also, when I remember we had 0 population from the young teachers coming in, they were only having 1 or 2 kids, and that was it. And they couldn't understand that people would have 12 or 13 children. They didn't understand it at all. I says, I thank God that my mom and dad didn't abort me. I'm here. We never went on welfare. We did what we could with each other. We helped each other. And I don't think it's a terrible thing when I hear big families are here. Yeah. It's very good. I think it is.
Well, you were a very close family, and the fact
Always.
that you and your sister are very close today.
Always.
Yeah.
So.
Is there anyone else in the family still living?
No.
Everybody's gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
Okay.
They're all gone. That's because of the Spanish influenza. It was a long time ago. It's my mother and father would have been like you say 50 years difference. You figure two and a half generations. That's a long time. That's almost like a great granddad, I think. No?
Did you know your grandparents, by the way?
No, we never met them, and we never had enough money to make a trip to Europe. In 1966 was the first time we got to Europe, and we met an older brother who went over there to visit Grandma, and then he stayed there, and we never saw him again. So that was because we wrote letters and all, but no, we didn't get a chance to see grandparents. About 1909 or so, one came through Argentina, and then Mom and a couple of the other kids came through Ellis Island. Yeah.
Both of you were born here.
Yes. We born, and I'm glad because my father wanted, make his money here and then go back home. But my mom didn't want to go back. She says, I got too much here.
At the same time, Daddy had he and my big sister wanted to become citizens of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
But then at that same year, if your parents were in the United States 50 or more years, the children are Americans, and they were able to become, and the mother and father, who is not an American, could become an American because of his longevity in America. Yeah, that was it.
We were talking or learning before about the way in which your father died. You want to go through that experience that your sister had?
That was supposed to be the most difficult one for my sister. She still remembers it.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't have a car. So we had a call for my dad had a stroke. So, we called the ambulance, but the ambulance came very late. And even when it did come, all the oxygen tanks were used up. So when they got to the hospital, it's a good, Coney Island Hospital is a good hospital. I don't care what anybody says. It kept my other sister alive 20 times. She would have been dead, but she was survived. Luck. So what happened at the hospital, just then, all the oxygen tanks were being used. Any kind of oxygen instrument was being used. So then, my sister was the only one, Bianca was the only one allowed in the ambulance to go to the hospital. And she saw that the people working on my dad, like they pound on him and all, and he didn't come through. That was the most
traumatic
thing.
Okay. Do you want to add anything to the stories about your mother and father and the things that their personalities and what they like to do?
Papa was 6 foot. I saw his passport thing. It said 6 foot. And Mama was about 5, really more 4'9" or so. And, she used to bake she used to make her own pasta and she used to make her own bread. Now, she used to make, say, like 8 big loaves of bread. She's always baking. I always remember her baking. That's it. And my dad would clown around. Dad, when he was in Argentina, well, let me tell you this way. Dad learned the Italian language, the highly spoken one, from the brothers in the church, and he joined the choir. And they taught him, and he developed his voice so well that he sang opera. Now, not great that he would be a famous one,
right,
but beautiful enough, strong enough, and good enough that in Sheepshead Bay, not Sheepshead, it was the other one, in Bensonhurst, when he used to paint in the house, and he had the windows wide open. He used to sing all these arias, and I used to be outside playing, and people used to stop. They'd be walking, passerbys, stop in front of the house and listen to him and applaud him. And I said, what's the matter with those people? What in the world are they listening to my dad for? What's this big deal? You know what? I remember a lot of the songs, and when I hear the operettas that are said, the arias that are performed on TV or in the opera house. I remember my dad, and I appreciated hearing that. And across the street from us was the Salmaggi's. And Salmaggi's is like the one in the Bowery, the Amato Opera Company. It's like the third kind. It's a sort of, it's not as well known. So, and I was always wondering why he never asked my dad, because he was not the producer, the impresario. And he used to, I'm sure, he couldn't hear my dad because he was always so busy, the impresario, going to look for other commitments. He was hardly home. And he had a big family. And his family and ours, we had good times together.
When were you born?
I'm born in 1922. I came late.
Where was that? Where?
Where I was born in Manhattan, Lower East Side. 71 Broome Street in Manhattan.
You were born at home?
Yes.
Yes, all of us had wives, midwives.
My mother, $2.
$2. And one of my sisters, Mary, when they were in the tenements, one of the women was she meant well, but she would have purchased Mary because Mom had so many children, and she thought it was too much. The husband, and she thought it was too much for my mom to look after them. But she would never give us up, and I'm glad she didn't. She didn't give Mary up either. So that was things that used to be happening.
That certainly is an early memory. What other memories do you think of to share with us growing up?
Okay. The childhood, on the block with the Salmaggi's. Across they had white cement, like a fence, a boundary in the front. And it was a nice platform that you could sit on. And then since they were musically inclined, everybody in that family played an instrument. So in those days, they would, on Saturday nights, they would line up on top of the platform there. And who had a guitar, who had a violin, who had a banjo and all. And we used to hear this music. And then my sis also, another one, in the basement that we were talking about that my father made, finished it off. She used to have on Saturday nights also from New Utrecht. The kids from New Utrecht come down to the old phonograph. My sister used to get all the 78s, and we used to dance. And all they had there were the sandwiches that they cut in half, and not fancy things, and soda, no wine, none of that stuff. And early hours, they left about 10 o'clock. They didn't leave any 11, 12. It was 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning. And it was good, clean, wholesome fun.
Sure.
You could take walks. And
was this during the 40s that you're thinking of? Or
30s.
30s,
more in the 30s. Yeah.
What about favorite foods?
Favorite foods?
Foods associated with holidays.
Oh, yeah, the braids. Mama made a lot of the braids, and with the eggs for the Easter. And everybody got a separate one for themselves, an individual one.
Yeah. It was so cute.
You know what? She never made lasagna, I swear. I had to get outside the house to get lasagna. And the honey, the little honey cakes, I forget what you call them. The struffola, yeah, that. Never. But,
do you have a particular memory associated with your mother?
With my mom, I was a favorite. Yeah, she always made me clothes. My clothes. I was always the best dressed in class. Always, like my sis. But my sis made the clothes. I didn't. They did the clothing for me.
What was your father's? We've heard about him from Bianca, but how would you answer your father's
Well, my father,
ability to, I mean, how did he make a living? What did he do, and what was his background?
my dad, he learned with, from the bricklaying. He had that job one time. From the bricklaying, he built 2 houses, 4 apartments on either side, attached of brick. And he lost them during the Depression because they were only paying, they said, on the interest. They weren't paying on the principal of the debt. He lost those. And all he had together was left for us was $2,000. So with that money, my brother and a cousin and my father built a house in Sheepshead Bay. That he made 1 family, but then he divided into 3. But he got people, they call them paisanos, and they used to live there for 6 months without paying. He used to feel sorry for them. They used the welfare money. Oh, cheap is what we saw. So that house too, we had a job with.
You ended up going into education just like Bianca did.
Yeah.
What were some of the fields that your brothers and your sisters went into?
Well, I told you one went into sewing, the other one into medical research. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I know. Sammy over in Europe, he did the vineyards.
Oh, okay.
He really had a vineyard. He really did. I think the kids have it now. His son and grandchildren.
But you also would probably describe your formative years as very wonderful, a wonderful experience.
I did so many things. So many things I'm aware to stop.
Let me ask you, who affected or who most impacted your decision to teach?
I used to do it as a kid. I know what. I had bronchitis for 6 months. And in those days, I told everybody, you had to stay in a shaded room. The blinds were always closed. You did stay like that for 6 months. And my sis and another sister-in-law, she used to teach. And she used to give some papers to me, like legal papers and little colored squares and things. And I used to use the Vogue magazine in order to not trace the figures, to draw the figures. So it was like school for me. What happens then, I used to take the Salmagic kids, and not only those kids on the block, the other kids on the block, and use the steps that went down to the basement to seat them and give them papers and all. And I used to teach them, and they used to listen to me. And some of those kids were big kids, the whole families and all. So that's how I got started with the teaching. And I said, and then I like my teachers a lot. And in school, everybody in the family, I said, you go to school. And then Bianca used to come home with the A's all the time. I said, I got to come home. So,
this is I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked. The most difficult thing that you've ever had to do.
I'm trying to think of mine. See, I think Bianca shouldered most of it because everybody went to her. Oh dear.
Well, maybe
that's a hard thing.
Maybe if I get
my
from
mother,
the other side,
no,
what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you?
I think meeting the people. Okay, today I'm getting it.
Today. Okay.
I love to dance. I do too. I think I got it from my father. And when we go to these dances, they're 99% women and 10% men. Now, the men, I have a good choice. The women, although they do go and ask each other to dance. You know, the women go over to the men to ask to dance. I don't do that. Forget it. It's okay with me. It's fine. But when I get the dances, it's too simple for me. I'm very active. I am. And they're all amazed that I do what I do.
Don't get up.
Okay.
Don't get
I
up
can't get up and show you.
No,
Can I do it like this?
You can't. You gotta stay right.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You have your nails.
But when we do as I was saying, when we do the Peabody and all, we really do. And when we do, I know what. So when I go to these dances, these senior proms with the kids, I'm with the kids. I'm doing and they're the ones coming over and asking me, these youngsters. So we're doing the Cotton Eye Joe thing, and they show us how to do what do you call it? That electric slide and all. I learned that all from the kids.
Okay.
So I'm up to what the kids do, and I will stay with them physically.
Yeah.
With the ones we go to the dances, forget it. They sit more and talk more. They're great people. They really are. The one I love the best is Bubbles. She has a transplant. She knows how to do striptease dancing, but not the kind of dancing that the ordinary lay people come on that floor and start shaking up what they have, which has no regard to dancing at all. She has a nice, easy way of doing it. It's suggestive, but it's not filthy. It's really dancing. She is a pleasure. Admiration for her. I think she's in her 80s.
Wow.
She comes with her walker. She sets the walker aside if she can handle it with the transplant of the heart.
Wow.
She does and she really goes to town. She's wonderful. So now, when I do my dancing and all, I don't interrupt. If the dancing they're doing is too easy, their line dancing is too easy, I go over in the side. I go in the back, any little part of the room, and I do my own dancing. I get my exercise that way. I love it. I've done aerobics and step dancing, all that stuff. I can't stand it. It's the most boring thing in the world. So with this line dance, I love it. You do what you want. So now, the band leader, Roy Coletta from Islip, he came to Bayshore High School prom. It's Saturday afternoon. And he looks for me, his band looks for me, and his vocalist looks for me. These people have played with Harry James and the Dorsey brothers and all. And they say, I want you to dance to me, even with Bianca, because she's 93 and they're amazed that she's doing what she's doing. So when I get the recognition, I can't believe it. I'm only doing it for fun. I make mistakes left and right, and it doesn't faze me one bit. I don't give a hoot if I turn right or if I turn left, just as long as I don't hurt anybody and I don't hit people. I really don't. I can measure my way of going. So that's why I'm having such a pull.
Did you both go to all of the same schools? Did you go to the same school?
No, I went to Abraham Lincoln High School.
How about, take us through your...
No, the low grades. Oh, I was very lucky. I'm the most fortunate. That's what you say. This is where I'm most fortunate. I started with 112 in Bensonhurst. That's not New York. Bensonhurst, 112. That was about 70th Street and about going the other way, about 17th or 16th Avenue. I only stayed there 2 years, and a new school was put up, 186. In 112, the second grade, that was okay. When I got to the third grade, that's the 6 months that I lost in bronchitis. But I picked up with studying and all. It was good. They let me go through the grade. I made the grade. The third grade, I wasn't left back. That was a brand new school. 112 was a great school too to me. Even for 2 years, I had a book. So when we got into this school, it's brand new. That's great. We had all these new teachers. Oh boy, we had the best. We had one class that had disabled. Those kids they were only about 8 or 10 in the class. They put on the most beautiful plays for us, beautiful music. I remember them. They were great. When we finished there, I was supposed to go to Cethlo. They just built Shallow. That's 186. No, sorry. 186 was the new school. From the third grade to the sixth grade. From the seventh grade to the ninth grade, I went to Shallow Junior High School. Brand new. Again, I got all these wonderful teachers. They were all energetic about their work and all. They were good to us. But to make you laugh, when we lost the house in Bensonhurst, we had to go to Sheepshead Bay. So I got the seventh grade in the new school of Shallow. The 8th grade, I come to Sheepshead Bay, and where did they put me? They put me in a school that's almost 100 years old. I came from a brand new school with all the gymnastics, all the languages. We had all the languages you could have, foreign languages, everything. So I was getting A's in all I only did it 2 weeks. I was getting A's in all my work except one, in English with the writing. So she wanted me to be more modern, my approach, the way I was using that. I didn't understand how to do it. And I really did try hard. And I think I was only ending up with a C. So I cried to my sister, Bianca. I said, Bianca, you got to help me get out of that school. I don't want to stay there. I don't like it. I came from a gorgeous school. I'm coming to this. So she dressed herself up, older and all, and she went to the school, and she said, we didn't move. We didn't move. This was in the 2 weeks of the school. She said, we didn't move. And in all the years, from the 8th grade, 2 years, 8th grade and 9th grade, I was there a class all the time, and I traveled by train. Guess what? One of the teachers, my math and my art teacher in one, lived in Sheepshead Bay. She was in the choir of St. Mark's, a Catholic school. Occasionally, when the weather was very bad, she always used the train. I used to see her on the train. When the weather was bad, she used the cab, and she used to let me come. She never told anybody in the school that I was out of the district. Because to get out of the district in New York City, you better know somebody. I'm sorry. That's the only way you're going to do it. So I was lucky that I went to Shallow Junior High. When I went to Shallow Junior High, we had operettas in that school. Today, no. Today it's very light musical. Nobody touches classical as well. We do have it, but we had an abundance of the classical, and I miss it. I really do. When we went to school, here we go again. They had a new school. Brooklyn College came up. I didn't go to Brooklyn College because it didn't have, I don't know, the registration, something. It wasn't a registered college at the time. Something with registration. So I went to Hunter because Hunter had the name. I wanted to go to Bellevue. I applied for Bellevue to do nursing there. And my oldest sister, the real oldest one, she said, you have to wash the feces and all from the, I said, you have to do that? I said, I'm not going into nursing, forget it. I'm not going near it. So that's why I didn't take Bellevue. I would have made a good nurse because blood doesn't faze me one bit. I'm a very good inpatient, a lousy outpatient. But anyhow, what happens there? So that's how to Hunter, I said, well, Hunter had a good name. We didn't have the money to go to Columbia or Fordham. So I said, okay, I'll go to Hunter. But I didn't like, I'll tell you, same as Bianca, co-ed, you go co-ed. It's normal to have boys and girls go together. It's the worst thing to be cut out. I'm sorry. I had co-ed. Oh, I went to Abraham Lincoln High School. There we go again. Abraham Lincoln High School was put up, I think, in 1927, and I was born in 1922. So that high school was 5 years old, and we had more. We had Russian, German, French, Latin, everything in that school. But then you're talking about kids. We had 60 kids in each of those grades in Abraham Lincoln. It was 1,000 people we had graduate. And I heard in 1972 or so, somebody else who went there, say in maybe 49 or so, they were still having a high, they graduated. One of my principals and the secretaries, each of them graduated from Abraham Lincoln High School and said the same thing. When I see people graduating 100 in a class and 300 and 400 in a class, it's too few. I'm used to 1,000 people. We had to go into a theater in order to graduate. We couldn't graduate in the school.
Now, you So you did your graduate work at Hunter?
I did the graduated Hunter. Oh, with that intensive teachers training program, we only paid $5 in Hunter. Nothing else. Oh, books. How we used to do the racket with the textbooks. We used to go to the libraries and get the books and then take them out like 2 weeks or 1 week, whatever they did. So we didn't have to pay. So everybody used to take the books out.
So you didn't have to go for the expense.
So the expenses, we used to cut expenses on that when you're talking about it. And a nickel, a nickel and dime used to drive. That's, you know.
So you went into teaching, Bianca went into teaching, but you didn't come to Brentwood. You went to...
Oh, no. See what happened with Bianca that I want to tell you with Dr. Hoyt. The reason she got kindergarten, that was the only opening when the choice came.
Mm-hmm.
And that was held during the last week of the session. And that's why she got into it. And then she got me interested in kindergarten too. So yeah, I had grades, but I don't have that. I had elementary school.
Now what happened? What happened?
35 children for 5 hours. 5 hours at 100 children.
Okay, Bianca.
I had such a good time.
Bianca.
We have,
That's why.
we had, you went to work in West Babylon, you said, or North Babylon?
No, North Babylon. Oh,
but let me ask you this, because you said you come to our retirement meetings.
Yeah. I know, Mr. Sagan.
Yeah.
He was saying, why don't you, get your what do you call? Why don't you come out to Brentwood? I don't know. I think I didn't. I was afraid for being laid off or something. That if both of us worked in the district, they would lay off one of us because we were like husband and wife team. They figure, well, there's an income there. That's why people do it. In business too. You have the husband and wife team, or if you have two sisters, two brothers, related. I figured if they ever had to cut down, it's better that we're in two different districts. That's the only reason I did that.
So now you come to R.O.B.S meetings all the time, and you explain why. Why
you want me to tell?
Yeah,
okay. I retired in 89. In 88. In 88. I heard that for 10 years, you pay your dues, and then after the 10 years, you don't have to pay your dues. But after I retired a year or so, a new rule came along. You have to pay dues another 10 years. So that means $40 the first 10 years, but the first year you get free. And then the second time, you have to pay $20 for the next 10 years, but I don't know what the racket is now, so I don't belong. I just assume get all the information from Dot and from Phyllis. It's the same information. They're terrific. They're terrific.
You've known them a long time, I think.
Yeah, I love them. Yeah. I remember Andre Kumar. I don't know if anybody remembers her. And I can't remember her name, but I can see her in, I don't know if it's Northeast. She worked with Mrs. Taken. She was very nice in kindergarten. In, in 59 or so. I can't remember her name. She was very, very sweet. Iva Ramsey, Culver Ramsey. I remember her. Bill Harris. I don't think he stayed he was in Brentwood, but he's from social welfare. I remember him from social welfare. I worked social welfare and child welfare. That's how I got interested too in switching to education, because I worked with the parents and the grandparents to find homes for the kids, and then I had to go to schools to see how they were making stuff.
From your experience, how different is North Babylon and Brentwood as?
We have. No, I used to get your kids and you used to get our kids.
Really?
Really. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are related. Babylon and, Babylon's very popular with Brentwood people. We're the same people. Yeah, same people. Same thing. The only thing is we have half as many. When Sis was here, you had 20,000. I remember 20,000. At least you had at least 10. At least 10 elementary. At least. I think it was 20. There you go. It was near 20. And half is what North Babylon had.
So you had a job description when you taught. For how many years did you teach?
Holy cats. I don't remember. I went from 58 to 89. And then, I had, hold on, I think they gave me 5 years. I had 4 years or 5 years in the city school in Manhattan. Not Manhattan, somewhere. Brooklyn. That was in Brooklyn.
So
Yeah, I had 4 years, at least 4 years there. Then I had a year.
Okay.
Hold on. I had another year. I had a year in St. Paul in Spanish Hall. I had 1 year there. But then in the summer times we had, I told you, afternoon school centers. We had play school. You remember the one near Columbia? It was a gifted school. We got their kids. That was nice. That was full day, 10 to 5 days a week. But what happened years later, they wouldn't take teachers from out of the New York City district. You had to be employed full time during the year in the city, and then in the summer and on Saturdays. We used to go on Saturdays too, all day on Saturdays. During the year, all day on Saturdays. But not during the summer. During the summer, you went 5 days a week.
I was going to ask you that you had a job description for all those years, but you also had a purpose. You personally had a purpose. What you were trying to accomplish in the classroom. The fact that you came back day after day to teach those youngsters. What was your purpose?
My purpose
Yeah,
was to satisfy me. I wanted to leave something in this world. And that's the way I explained it when we went to intensive teachers training program in order to get into it. I want to leave a little bit of me that I contribute towards somebody's life, because we have been doing it with the 13 in the family and my mom and dad.
Yes.
So I wanted to carry it over. So I feel worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel good. I feel
that.
something good inside, and I have it with me all the time. So nobody's going to take that from me.
That's wonderful. Do you remember what your beginning salary was when you started?
See, I started a little higher because I came with a BA 30, and they all flipped when I told them that. I had a BA 30. I was right near the end of getting the master's, very close.
Yes.
All of them flipped because I was going to start on the high.
Okay.
For them, 5 years, I think 5 years was the one you had. And then when I was doing that, I had to take 3 courses. When you take your regular ed courses, it's how to teach reading from the beginning. But when you had to go into kindergarten, when you got the job with kindergarten, oh boy, I had to do art, but I was already doing arts and crafts in afternoon school centers right after class. We finish upstairs, go down 3 o'clock. Oh, that was 5 days a week in Fort Greene. You finish your class from, say 9 to 3, and then right away from 3 to 5 days a week, you had the kids. I had the young ones, the young 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry, I'm losing track of what was the question now? About, I wanted to do, are you saying, I can't remember the question.
I think you answered the question, and then you went on to discuss something that you're discussing something else, and I'm just listening. I'm not quite sure where we're going.
About the kids.
I asked about purpose, and you said it was to give yourself a satisfaction.
Okay, that's meeting the kids wherever I go. They say, don't you miss teaching? I says, no, I don't. You know why? I meet them all. I go to the church, I meet them in the church. I meet their children, I meet the grandchildren. I go to the dances. I'm going to go to, in June 5th, Christina is graduating from Adelphi. She's going into teaching. I'm going to her graduation party as well, her reception. That too. Christina Christodoulou. I had a class where all the names were long like that, every one of them. And Christodoulou is Christodoulou. And the third daughter to be born, I thought would have a lesson number. Her name is Alexandra Christodoulou. I says, how can you do that to her? So they call her Alex.
Okay.
But I meet them no matter wherever I go, and I love them. And I try to remember them. Even when I go to the hospital to make a visit or to pay a bill at the hospital because of the mammogram, I have to pay Good Sam. I meet the nurses and all, and I'm eating there. I had you. What's your name? Joe DeBello. Oh, DeBello. You know, I remember DeBello. He was the tallest fella in the class. Not lying. His mother was 80 pounds. He was about 98 pounds. 5 years old. If you see him now, he's still tall and big. Big. And he got transferred because, one of them got sick. Somebody in the family got sick. And I got a call in September, the following September. What happened? He was not being too kind to the youngsters in his class. He was the tallest one there. So whatever he wanted, he was the king. So I says, I didn't have that problem because my kids, my girls and boys were all as tall as he were. So I happened to have a tall class at the time. So I didn't have to work with that problem. See? But he turned out great.
When we weren't making as much money as teachers are today, did you ever have to have a second job, or did you ever hold a second job?
Oh yeah, because when we had the other house, my father died. So we had an older sister. She wanted to stay there. She didn't want to move. And my mother was still alive at the time. She survived. 54 was one, and 61 was Mama, right? 54 and 61. So that many years there was a family there. Another sister and husband were all sharing the apartment. We didn't ask them to pay that. Okay. So we had to keep the house because my mother didn't want to leave that house. That's the one Dad been to. So we lost Bianca to Brentwood. And I said, we lost a sister. We never see her. We never did. She didn't drive or anything. So I said, you know what? I'm going to work in the city. And then after I find that you have a job in teaching, then I'll quit my job and I'll look for work out here. So that's how I came out to the island, because we felt we lost a sister. We didn't see her. Then pay was better. Yeah. The pay was better, but hold on. When I came out, baloney. Not in 58. In 58, the pay was not better. The pay was better in New York City. No. Yeah. Then it turned, because I came in 58. Come on, you know better, right? 58, the pay was not better.
Was there something that you would like to have been able to accomplish that you weren't able to finish before you left the classroom, or did you leave just feeling good about your experience?
No, I got scared. You know why? The AIDS was coming around, and we didn't know which kids had AIDS and didn't have AIDS.
Oh.
And I'm in the class of kindergartners, and you have it also in first and second grade. And these kids go and bite.
Yeah.
And I was always afraid. I heard that, with the bite, it goes into the blood. And you don't know what's happening.
Have you ever been bitten by it? Yeah.
Me? Yeah, I'll tell you where I was bitten. I was bitten. No, I won't. I was bitten, when I was at this play school. They called it play school. And it was I wish I could remember. You know how you say the Dalton School?
Yes.
What's the one here in the city? It's like the Dalton. Everybody knows it. It's not Dalton. No. I can't remember the name.
Okay.
But they had, a family. The mom, was not well. And she couldn't handle, she had all boys. I think she had 7 boys, all little. And the school was nice enough they do let in people. People paid. It was a paying school during the summer. So they let this group come in, this family come in. And not without exaggeration, I think they went through about 16 homemakers in about 3 years time. Nobody wants to stay with these kids. You don't know. Now, all I did, I'm brand new coming into this situation in the summertime. And somebody asked me, same thing happened to another girl. I'm so glad it did, because they don't think I did it. You're just walking with the child. They say, would you take the child and bring her up to the office, because the mother is waiting in the office, because you're in the hallway. So I'm taking the kid with me. Okay, come on, son. And we're walking, all of a sudden I get a bite. 3 in there. I never told anybody. Never. I only told my family that I got it. They said, you didn't go have it. I said, no, I didn't. I said, I wouldn't say anything because I was afraid they think I did something to the kid that warranted his
fighting me. The following summer, another brother did it to a little girl with a music teacher. She was walking through and she was there. The same thing happened to her, but she reported it. So that was an experience where I did get bitten, but that was out of the clear blue. No. Nobody ever hit me and nobody. Oh, I know what I used to do. You get the tallest guy in the class, the tallest student. You make good friends with him and he runs the behavior problems for you. That's how I did it. I was in a class with all boys. I think it was the 6th grade with them. Yeah. And they were in a job with this. Yeah. That's why it's always.
You make a point, though. The point that I hear
That's how I used to do it.
is that there are situations in schools today that at one time were not there, that teachers didn't have to deal with.
That's what's fine.
It's a different world.
And kids coming in with guns that you can really shoot them, that scares me. That really does. And you never know when. Oh, I remember. Here's another one. You want it fast? Last week of school, 3 days before the end of the school, I get a new student. I'm not lying. I'm from the Bronx, from somewhere. I don't know where the kid came from. The secretary brings him in. You know, how do you do and all? And so what happens? You have everything organized. It's the 3 days. You know, you have the half a day on the last day. So I had everything organized, and I used to take. You have these signs, the wooden signs. You know, stop, go, and all that. They're made of wood with a little base on a stick, like a broomstick, square base, and then the sign. Okay. So I would undo the base and put the base in the closet. Because during the summer, they used to use my schoolroom during the classroom during summer school. So I'll make sure I had the set. I know I figured they wouldn't take one thing without the other. So that's why I used to have that put in. But the large ones, the long ones, they were this long and heavy. The broomstick was this long. I call it broomstick, the handle of it. And the sign was this big of wood. They're heavy. So the secretary brings a little child in and says, you know, this is John Smith. Oh, hi, John Smith. Nice. And Bianca had come. She wasn't working at the time. She was retired. She came to help me to get the stuff together and out. So she saw it too. I had all the kids just at that point. That was in the beginning when they came in, sitting around the tables that were joined. So you had I think we had 25 or 30 kids at the time around, you know, the lunchroom tables, that size, fine, all put together. So they were all sitting in the place because we had just started. They came in, we have to check out who's in. You got to do the news over the intercom for the day. You have to do the pledge, the silent, one moment of silence, this kind of shit. So what happens? She lets, you know, the secretary leaves. She's not going to hang around. I don't blame her. She's got work to do. So the kid goes all the way over to where I had, you know, your radiator covering like this side. I had 3 of them. He picked up 2, took it. You know, he'd seen in the room. He had all the space. He did run, didn't stay put, just ran he wanted to see what this room was like. He ran right over to the window where the radiator was, picked up the 2, and he's swinging them around like this. I'm at my desk. He's over there, way over at the other end of the room. I'm at my desk. I'm dying. Those things can be separated and be thrown at somebody. So I had some dumb thing on the table on my desk. I don't know what it was, some little doll or I don't know what. And I said, oh, you know what? Did you see what this was like? He dropped the things and he came over to me for the thing. My sister was there and she saw what happened. My aching heart. 3 days before, and come September again, we got a kid, but we don't know what he does and what happens. I don't know what happened, but I had him, what do you call it? I put him right away for the psychologist and all. I'm not going to go through this for the following, whoever got him for, the term, because I don't know anything about him. So he had transferred and somebody had called me. I says, I don't know anything about it. I called up the teacher too on that day, the same day. I said, I don't know where this kid comes from. And she didn't know much better than I did. So it seems they're head shopping from one to the other. That's the most, Oh boy, I'll never forget that. That was so that was so
So
scary.
how do you advise people coming into the profession? What could you advise? What could you tell somebody? A lot of times they look at us and they say, oh, it doesn't apply to us.
We had student teachers and I had student teachers. So she helped me. She kept me up to date on what they were doing and I would show her what I was doing. And they kept me up to date.
But how would you advise, what kind of advice could you offer a new teacher today that would be of real use and real help for them? Is there anything that you could say?
Oh golly. I praise them. I give them credit for being, I don't know. I would be scared to teach. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not lying right now.
Okay.
I would be frightened to teach them.
So it requires some kind of courage to get in there.
You have to.
Yeah. But wouldn't you agree that kids are kids? Kids are always going to be kids.
No, I'm afraid of the teaching because you know what? I'm spoiled too. In play school, I'll tell you the situation. We had 20. That's it. Not more than 20 in the summer from 10 to 5. We had a regular play school teacher who did not have to go to college. All she had to do or he had to do was to take the job.
Now, play school was in New York City.
New York City. It was a good school. And they called it play school because the play school people used to send their materials over for us to test. With that one, they had to have a New York City licensed teacher. So you had 2 teachers. And this one knew what was going on because they're there the whole year. And they know the family. It's in the project. It's Morningside Heights. Okay. So in that classroom, there's your support right there. Then you have 2 future teachers of America at the same time who come 2 weeks. They're getting their training. Same time. That's 4 people in the classroom. Then you have, did I say the nurses? Nurses. You have 2 future nurses of America. That's 6 people in the room with 20 kids from 10 to 5. What a delight. And materials at your beck and call. And we all spoke together, we talked, we had to have meetings and all. It was great. That's the way we did it. So we each contributed. And we also had, I did say future teachers of America.
Like
I
in
did.
a sense you had a team.
No, those were high school kids. Excuse me. Those were high school kids.
They were. But
We
you
also
had a whole team that you could work.
6.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I would like, a setup like that.
Yeah.
But you don't get it today.
No.
No, they keep cutting. So sharing, we shared.
What's
We
your
did.
greatest
We
concern
shared.
for public school today, given the world that we live in and what you see, coming from your experience? Are you optimistic?
It's still an I thing. It's still I. I'm remembering Dewey. Everything was I, and I don't think we're getting.
Tell me about, what do you mean?
You satisfy your own wants first. I'm first. I'm first. And if you're not first, you're not worth anything. It's an attitude that's very hard to fight. You do it by example. That's it.
Okay.
You show that you're fair. Sure, where you live too. You have some kids who aren't so nice and you make friends with them and you sort of soft them a little.
What didn't I ask that you would like to talk about? Is there anything that concerns the 2 of you that you'd like to talk about or something personal?
You know what something flashed in my mind.
Go ahead.
At the school, I don't know why. The point, because I can see him doing it. Tony Jackson, I think he died. Tony Jackson was a great basketball player, and he used to come down to Fort Greene. We had quite a few basketball players. Oh, I met that other fellow too, the one who died. Oh, it's not a Simpson. Come on, a great big basketball player, beautiful. I'll remember his name afterwards. But Tony Jackson wasn't as great. He was great, but this one was, everybody knew him. Willie something? No, not Willie. He'll come, I'll remember by the time I leave you.
Bill Russell?
No. A big name. That's the one. Will Chamberlain, W-I-L-T Chamberlain. He's immense. And he was going out with one of my coworkers. adult, and we met him, and we went, after a game, we went to his game, and afterwards we went to this club. It was nice. Anyhow, I wanted to tell you about this one. That you're making me remember, and I don't know why. Tony Jackson, at Fort Greene, they used to have, on Saturdays, when we worked there, they let the kids, it's an old school, it's over 150 by now. 5 flights, no, what do you call it? No elevator. And of course I was on the floor. Okay. We had 1,000 students in that school. 13 classes in each grade. But anyhow, when we had the afternoon session, and Saturdays especially, we used to have some of the kids, he used to let, one of our directors, used to let them use the room, the gym. They didn't wreck anything. They were good. They just wanted to use the gym. And they used the gym because they used to put a buck in the game, and they used to win the money. That's why they played so hard. But this fella came as one of the teachers, Tony Jackson, and I can still see him doing it with the ball spinning the whole length of the school. I don't know why I thought of him. He was very, very sweet, very nice. But the experiences that we had, boy, some of them close. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much for giving us the benefit of your time and your patience to go through these questions. And thank you for being a part of the interview process.
Love you. Thank you. Love you.